It's that time of the week again. We are back with another fishing report, and this week our catch of the week is Kai Bissett with a nice mangrove jack he caught in one of our local systems earlier in the week. Now, a couple of important updates this week. We are currently in the middle of a coral reef finfish closure, which started on Tuesday and runs right through till Saturday. So you cannot target a coral reef finfish or keep one for that matter until Sunday. Also, the annual barramundi saltwater close season is upon us, starting tomorrow, Friday the 1st of November, and runs right through to the 31st of January. So that season reopens on the 1st of February like it does every year. And now a bit of an unusual one. Lake Gregory is currently undergoing some much needed road maintenance to get into the lake by Sunwater, so they are closing off all access to that lake for approximately 5 weeks. So we will update you guys when that lake is up and going again. It's going to be pretty cool to fish that lake after a much needed break, so we'll get into that in approximately 5 weeks time. Well, earlier in the week on Monday saw some really good weather, which was pretty fitting considering the coral reef finfish closure started on Tuesday. So a few keen anglers did head offshore and get into some really tasty reef species. Like last week, the gutters are still fishing really well for plenty of Venus tuskfish, big grassy sweetlet, hussa, all those sort of tasty fish. If you're after the red emperor, trout, and red throat, heading slightly north has produced some better quality fish. Fishing around the Warregos and the Herald patches in particular has seen some really good sized trout and red throat on that shallow stuff, especially with that bigger tide leading into this new moon. Now, if you're fishing north off of 1770, we did see some good sized trout and all of the wrecks and reefs off there. So after this coral reef finfish closure, it is going to be really good in those short weather windows we get to really make the most of them and head out while you can, because this time of the year with the northerlies, they are few and far between. So if we see any more weather windows, jump onto them while you can, because all of our offshore reefs and wrecks, gutters are fishing extremely well. Rivers and creeks are really firing up with these consistent northerly winds. The Burnett has seen some really good sized jack and cod on the chew around all of the rock bars. If you are chasing those bread and butter species, fishing around the rocks is still producing some great sized grunter and flathead. Just be prepared for those odd bigger cod and mangrove jack to come around. Fishing up the top of the Burnett around Toffs Rocks, around the bridges and up in Splitters Creek has also seen some really good sized jack on the chew, with the occasional big flathead mixed in there as well, especially if you're fishing a deeper hole or around those bridge pylons. This week has seen the Kalan have a really good influx of mangrove jack. They've really come on the chew hard this week. Those using live baits have consistently found those bigger and better quality fish. Those using lures are finding a lot more numbers of fish, but usually those smaller fish hanging out in those shallow mangrove fringes. So targeting those bigger fish with live baits has worked extremely well. Towards the mouth of the Clan, on the shallow sand flats during that incoming tide, we have had some great numbers of grunter and flathead. As that tide starts to build and those flats fill up with water, these fish have travelled onto them. As well as this, good numbers of queenfish and trevally are also in pursuit of bait as well. If you can time that tide early, this weekend's actually going to be really good with that bigger incoming tide. A lot of these fish will get up onto those shallow flats and feed. The Baffle is also pretty similar to the Clan at the moment, in that the mouth of the river has seen some really good numbers of flathead and grunter on those shallow flats during that incoming tide, and likewise we're seeing queenfish and trevally not too far behind as well. Now upriver slightly in Middle Channel, Bottle Creek, up the back of Oyster, we are seeing some really big jacks being caught, just hanging around those big laydowns and rock bars in those creeks. Live baits, whole sprat, mullet fillet has been working really, really well. But if you are into lure fishing, prawn imitation soft plastics, you really can't beat them at the moment in all of our local estuaries. Samaki live shrimps, Irukandji mega prawns, Dial bait junkie prawns, just any prawn presentation is working really well in all of our local rivers. And this time of the year, we usually see that with a little bit of rain. That rain last week has definitely helped get those prawns flicking in the shallows there up the creek. So these predatory fish are really after those prawn presentations. Now in the Elliott, the river is still quite clear at the mouth. If you are heading right at the top of the river, chasing jack and some of those grunter that have been in that dirtier water, using a mullet fillet or a live potty has worked extremely well. But if you are into lure fishing, prawn imitation soft plastics or paddle-tail soft plastics has worked really well. For those just into their bait fishing, fishing around sharks' nests there, around the mouth of the river in that clearer water, just lighten your ball sinker or lighten your leader. Make everything as natural as possible for these fish in this clearer water. There's been some really good numbers of cod and grunter in these deeper holes just around that mouth in that deeper water there. And Lake Monduran is still absolutely on the chew. We have seen great numbers of fish still in that main basin, trolling big soft plastics like Berkeley Shimmer Pro Rigs, Fishcraft Dr. Shads, Irukandji DTFs, Mollux 140 shads. All of this stuff has been working really, really well. Black and golds, silvers, perch colors, it doesn't matter too much on the color at the moment. It mainly is getting your speed and the depth right. You want the lure sitting between 2 and 6 meters, depending where the fish are sitting. So it's good to have one lure out maybe at 2 or 3 meters and one slightly deeper to cover a few of your options, and just vary your speed as the day goes on, because you might find that eating on a slower speed in the morning, but when it's a bit shut down, maybe something a bit quicker to trigger a reaction bite is what's needed, or maybe it's the opposite way around depending on the day. If you are into casting on the lake, don't worry, there's still plenty of fish up in the backs of bays. Just use your side imaging to find them. If you have live scope, obviously this helps a lot to track fish and pitch all different types of lures at them. But just use your side scan on your basics. And if you can find a point that has all of this structure on it, and it's also right near the main creek channel, these points have produced a lot of the better quality fish, because these fish will come out of the deep onto the shallows to feed and straight back into the deep. If you are fishing the dam, make sure to take note of any little bite periods like the Clean River tide change, your moon rises and moon sets, or any wind direction changes, barometric pressure changes. All of these take into account and can produce some really short, sharp and sweet bite times. So you definitely want to be fishing hard around any of these sort of times, because these barra will just turn on and turn off even quicker. Well, that's it for another fishing report. We hope you can get out there and wet a line this weekend. We'll catch you next week.